Jimmy Donaldson, aka Mr. Beast, is the biggest YouTuber on the platform with over 460 million subscribers. He's given away hundreds of millions of dollars, and by all accounts, he's possibly the nicest guy on the planet who's ever lived. And lucky for him, being so nice always seems to benefit Jimmy, because it just so happens that being so selfless is incredibly profitable. By giving away hundreds of millions of dollars, he's launched himself to the highest highs of the multi-billion-dollar YouTube advertising ecosystem. And as a result, Mr. Beast's YouTube channel alone is now a multi-billion-dollar company, which he's used to launch products and services generating millions of sales and billions of dollars all across America. Hell, being so nice even landed him something worth more than money, a hot girlfriend. And she even seems nice too. It's not fair. But anyway, you don't get to mog this hard without attracting the evil eye, and as we all know, that cheddar breeds jealousy. Over the last few years, Mr. Beast has been hit with some of the most damning allegations a corporation, I mean a person, could be hit with. Accusations of sexual misconduct and grooming going on under his watch at the company, suggestions that he had subjected victims, I mean contestants, at the Squid Games, I mean Beast Games, to treatment that would qualify as torture under the Geneva Convention. In fact, according to some people, Mr. Beast is the fakest content creator on YouTube, and if the haters are to be believed, absolutely nothing about Mr. Beast or his multi-billion-dollar empire is real. His smile is fake, his thumbnails are fake, his stunts are fake, his charity is fake, and even his food is fake. But is all the hate against Mr. Beast just a classic example of hating the player because he's winning the game, or is Mr. Beast's empire really as phony as the smiles on his thumbnails? Well, in this video, we'll be taking a deep dive into the many scandals of Mr. Beast and working out once and for all, is Jimmy really a demon behind the thumbnail? Before we go any further, this topic is a little different from the sort of thing I usually cover on my channel, but if you want to see more documentaries about streamers, YouTubers, and influencers, click the link in description and subscribe to my brand new documentary channel, Influencers Exposed. If you want to watch my videos uncut and extended, go to patreon.com/traplawross, where you can get those for just $2. Scandal number 1, Jimmy is a fake nice guy. The whole Mr. Beast empire is dependent on one thing, you thinking Jimmy is a nice guy. He gives away thousands of dollars in gifts and giveaways, quite literally claim to cure the blind, and he's even given away entire private jets. He must just be a nice guy, right? Well, in fact, multiple former employees have described a very different environment behind the scenes, calling out Mr. Beast for actually running a toxic work environment where he apparently berates and belittled his staff and cultivated a working culture where he was worshipped like a cult leader. One person who made such claims was an editor named Matt Turner, who joined the Mr. Beast team in 2018 during the channel's rapid growth. Despite the prestige of the role, his employment ended after just 5 months in September 2018. Initially, Turner said he was let go because of his other aspirations, as Mr. Beast was apparently looking for people who were committed to him and the job long term.
It wasn't an easy decision. This was a dream job for so long. He basically just said, hey man, I know this is kind of random. Realize that you aren't long term in this, because I was planning on either moving to Los Angeles, backpacking across Asia, which I'm gonna do, or go to college in the fall. I just said, we really just want people who are gonna be in here for the long term. You have other aspirations, we can see that, and we know that's what you should be focusing on.
And to be fair, Turner also described his time working for Mr. Beast in largely positive terms, saying that the company had even covered his rent and that in his view, nobody had done anything wrong in the situation.
This was a dream job for so long. Going to work was a blast each and every day. Mr. Beast paid for my rent every month when I lived in North Carolina. Me and Mr. Beast, I still consider friends, never got in any fights, no one did anything wrong in this situation.
However, nearly a year later, he would take it to Twitter, where he described the experience working for Jimmy as mentally exhausting and emotionally damaging. According to Turner, the workplace involved frequent yelling, public humiliation, and verbal abuse. As a result, he claimed these incidents caused emotional breakdowns and ongoing distress. Additionally, he alleged that minor editing mistakes would trigger harsh reprimands, despite the content itself not always being strictly authentic. Beyond this, Turner claimed employees were systematically denied credit for their creative work because the management told staff that anyone who left should not be set up for success elsewhere. Moreover, he described ideas being taken without credit and employees being berated by Mr. Beast's mother, who was functioning as his manager. Further, Turner pointed to strict non-disclosure agreements that were discouraging staff from speaking out publicly. All of this painted a grim picture of Jimmy being someone who's nice for the cameras, but to the people he deals with off-screen, he's a terror. And it wasn't just Matt Turner who felt this way. Notably, the New York Times later interviewed 11 former employees who echoed similar concerns and requested anonymity due to those agreements. But during those interviews, the 11 staff members who worked for Mr. Beast described a sharp shift in Jimmy's personality personality once the cameras were off. In response to the allegations made by Turner and others, MrBeast told Rolling Stone that despite working with over 1,000 people, only 2 people had ever complained that he was too demanding and that he was simply maintaining high standards. He also claimed paying Turner $10,000 in a separation agreement and even said he recommended him for future work. For years, it seemed that claims made by Turner and others were largely dismissed until renewed scrutiny emerged in 2024.
Yeah, I mean, up until very recently, MrBeast was like, he was just shielded up. He had like dragon armor. You know what I mean? Like everybody was running defense for him constantly.
After what happened next, Redditors would point back to Matt Turner's video that had started it all, with one Redditor claiming how they had always believed him, but at that point, people were viewing MrBeast like the second coming of Christ, and he simply could do no wrong. Attention would return to MrBeast and his company following some highly explosive allegations made by a controversial former employee turned YouTuber Dogpack404, real name Dawson French. In his first ever video, titled "I Worked for MrBeast, He's a Fraud," Dogpack came out swinging with a plethora of embarrassing accusations, claiming that MrBeast was deliberately manipulating and exploiting his very young audience by constantly tying his brand to the idea that the viewers themselves would financially benefit from following his content and helping his channel grow. And he alleged that MrBeast basically never actually includes random subscribers in his challenges or competition videos like he claims.
Videos are just for entertainment only, right? I mean, it's not like he's ever rigged the results of a challenge. That would be impossible because he films with hundreds of random subscribers, right? Wrong. Let's look at this video. Not only were the results of this video completely scripted, but the contestants are not random subscribers.
So many people had jobs.
Oh, that contestant had to get out for her job? I guess you forgot she's your hiring manager. I actually recognize a lot of people in this video, including Jimmy's own girlfriend. So yeah, the random subscribers you see in challenges are actually never random. They're almost always local to MrBeast and oftentimes friends and family of MrBeast employees. If you subscribe, you will not win $1 million.
And these allegations were just the tip of the iceberg, because in his second expose video, where he went as far as to call MrBeast a sociopath in the video's title, he would interview another former Beast disciple, Jake Weddle, who had worked with the MrBeast channel between 2019 and 2021.
If you know me from MrBeast, I'm a deep cut. I was there when they were authentic, and then I saw the transition to what I feel like is a company. He's like a TV show now. It went from YouTuber guy with a camera to Amazon.
During the interview, Jake claimed that MrBeast's generosity wasn't authentic and all just part of an act.
I think when he's generous on camera, it's the least authentic thing in the world. There's an element of, you know, oh, hey, you're crying, that's so good for camera.
During a segment that would make Jake visibly emotional, he would describe how he was fired after requesting a pay raise for himself and a co-worker, the latter being an older man with kids who felt uncomfortable challenging the company due to having mouths to feed, but still participated in the meeting to support Jake, which would allegedly end up costing him his job as well.
And that's one of the reasons why I left, was because I just walked in there and asked for not necessarily a gajillion dollars, but maybe a salary that was more proportional to the work I was doing, given how much revenue that work was doing. And the other thing I talked about was there was another writer there, older comic, black guy, he had a kid, and I got paid more than him, and I thought that was wild because he was older than me, had a child, we're doing the exact same job, and I'm some 20-year-old white guy, why am I getting paid more than him? I brought that up. And one of the things I did, and he didn't want to rock the boat. He desperately didn't want to rock the boat. He's just, I like my job. I like, you know, because I trust you. He stood with me. He went into that meeting with me, and I said my piece, and he backed me up. I said, I need X, Y, Z, or I'm out of here. And they said, bet, and they gave me a severance check the next day, and they gave him a severance check the next day. And if I knew he was going to lose his job too, I wouldn't have done it.
It's kind of ironic that the man who's apparently happy buying out whole supermarkets, car dealerships, and restaurants can't just stump up a little extra cash for the people who actually make him money. But perhaps the reality is that MrBeast makes disproportionately more money doing giveaways on camera than giving extra money to his employees off camera. But still, in spite of seeing through MrBeast's phony nice guy persona, Jake admitted to staying silent afterwards in the hope that he might get some future opportunities. And eventually he was invited back in 2021 to participate in a grueling 30-day solitary confinement video. It's just chilling when you think about it, because if this is how he does you when you ask for a raise, you can assume that reporting a harassment claim will get you sent straight to the gulag. But during the advanced interrogation, I mean entertaining challenge, Jake would describe unsanitary conditions and sleep deprivation compounded by the crew's refusal to let him turn off the lights, and he had to eventually quit the challenge early because of his declining physical and mental health. Now, let's not forget, sleep deprivation is literally an internationally recognized form of torture, like quite literally a war crime under the Geneva Convention. In reflecting on the war crime, I mean workplace experience, Jake would say that it was ultimately the financial pressures that left him feeling unable to refuse the offer.
But Jimmy's the guy with the money, and if you do what he says, he'll do what you want. You want your student loans paid off? You just be in this cage. And you have power over people. When one person doesn't have resources and the other one does, and they hold it over your head, and you go, of course, yeah, I agreed to it. I needed it, of course.
Shortly after the video was released, MrBeast allegedly offered him the remaining $190,000 of prize money that he didn't get. But even being willing to stump up $190,000 is an interesting offer, and it kind of says a lot about how MrBeast must have felt about how nasty this incident was. Jake also faced criticism following making these allegations, and during a follow-up interview, Jake would actually acknowledge that his participation in these challenges was not mandatory.
But were those challenges mandatory? The things like the marathon, I think the Rubik's Cube as well, were those mandatory?
I was doing a couple of the challenges leading up to it, and like, again, this is the thing about the video. Technically speaking, on paper, no. But when I tried to not do the Rubik's Cube thing, he was, just do it. Like, just do it for the thing.
But while Jake admitted that some of the pressure to stay was self-imposed,
hearing so far is a whole bunch of...
But yeah, the pressures that exist.
So yeah, that's fine, but what I hear so far is that these are a whole bunch of internal pressures that you have. I don't think you can hold MrBeast responsible for
but
this.
like, it's not like they fell out of a vacuum. I mean, these pressures exist because this is the company that Jimmy built. Jimmy built this company, and the pressures come from the way that the company operates.
he also generally avoided taking any responsibility for his own decisions.
To say that there's no pressure and to say that all the pressure was manufactured by me, I think is a little ridiculous, but that's just me.
So as a result, public sympathy was divided. In particular, some questioned him being paid $10,000 a day and still feeling entitled to the full prize money, despite not actually completing the challenge.
I saw you said that you did 10 days or 11 days, correct?
11, I want to say, yeah.
11. And then you also said you feel like you're justified that MrBeast owes you the full $300,000, right?
No, I feel like I feel like when I was leaving the challenge, since I was honeypotted in with 300,000, and even though the video went terribly wrong, I felt like it would have been the smarter thing for him to do was to just give me the full 300.
However, me personally, I honestly have a lot of sympathy for Jake. He clearly wanted to partake in the MrBeast phenomena, and it's obvious that he does have his own little desire for the limelight. And clearly, he doesn't mind a little public torture and humiliation, judging by his stand-up comedy clips.
They were the only things holding me back from going from full Drake Bell to Cat Williams. So, if I've lost those friends, Biscottios, let's get pimpin'. That's what a Cat Williams says, honey. That's a Cat Williams thing.
But the reality is, MrBeast is cultivating an environment where normal people get stars in their eyes and struggle to say no to things they aren't truly comfortable with deep down in their soul. And while there's a lot to be said about Jake being a full-grown adult who can make his own decisions, the fact that this extreme and damaging challenge was even an idea for content for MrBeast kind of says a lot about how he sees people. These allegations were shocking to a lot of people who saw MrBeast as his nice guy persona would have you think, and they picked up a huge amount of traction, with Dogpack's videos now having over 10 million views each, along with a third reportedly containing false information, causing it to since be unlisted, still racking up millions of views before the mistakes were revealed. There would also be claims that Dogpack was overstating, embellishing, and even purely misleading his audience, with other YouTubers like one named Soggy Cereal putting out a long video arguing that he was going to debunk most of the claims.
As most of you have probably guessed by now, this video won't just be about this alleged fraudulent and manipulative. It'll also be about this confirmed fraudulent and manipulative Dogpack 404. I became suspicious of Dogpack 404 after he called me overdramatic for not wanting to spread serious accusations with unsubstantiated and easily refutable evidence. As well as because he tried to silence me with threats of slander after I started suspecting him of lying. So in this video, I will be debunking close to every accusation he and the people he manipulated have made.
But when it comes to particularly the claims about MrBeast being a fake nice guy, perhaps the most interesting segments were interviews that Soggy Cereal did with MrBeast's employees, which made Dogpack himself even seem like not the easiest person to work with.
Can you tell me a bit about your relationship with Dawson during both of you guys working there? Was there something that felt off?
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, me and Dawson were cordial. Like, I tried to keep it professional. I think he tried his best to keep it professional, but I will say it was a little uncomfortable with just me and him in the office. He seemed pretty disinterested in making genuine connections with people at the company. He gave weird vibes for sure, and I felt like very uncomfortable working in the office with him. He didn't seem to work too well with others.
Okay.
I heard that he told the chef that his food was trash.
I heard that story too, yeah. And then he like denied it in a video afterwards, and I talked about that, but...
I mean, maybe we could call him and see, like... I heard a rumor circulating that Dawson told you that your food was trash. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, it was the first time I actually met him. It was kind of after his tour, you know, of our studio and such, and he actually came over, you know, tried some of the food that we had in the fridge, and then proceeded to tell me it tasted like shit, and that he wishes that we would cater more frequently.
Wow.
Because, yeah, which is fairly interesting because I'm not sure if I had introduced myself or maybe he just felt comfortable enough to tell me the food tasted like shit.
Even MrBeast took note of Soggy Cereal's video, excitedly commenting, "Finally, a video that doesn't spread baseless slander against me, LOL." Clearly the allegations in Dogpack's original videos struck a nerve with Jimmy, and apparently after this, behind the scenes, MrBeast actually started DMing big creators to try and get them to react to the video.
This is MrBeast DMing Pyrocynical, telling him that he needs to address the allegations and watch Soggy Cereal's video.
I basically said to him, "I'll probably stream my reaction to it tomorrow. Do I have permission to show this DM conversation of you asking me to check it out on stream?" And then he said, "I'd rather not, but if you feel it necessary, it's up to you. Appreciate you covering it." So you can see there. So, hang on.
He's coercing big creators to watch this video to clear his name without him saying anything.
But then Soggy Cereal's video also came under scrutiny when the YouTuber Harmful Opinions revealed that Soggy had failed to disclose that MrBeast had paid for his flights and hotels.
I'm sure you know, it has since come out that his flights and accommodation were paid for by Dustin, the producer who reached out to him. Thankfully though, on Friday the 22nd, Soggy added a disclosure of this fact to his video so that audiences will have all the info they need.
Additionally, Harmful Opinions alleged that Soggy had been communicating with MrBeast's employees much earlier than he originally admitted.
There is an extremely important fact that he has withheld from his audience and not included in his disclosure. Soggy Cereal has been in contact with at least some of the very same employees he interviewed in real life since at least before October 12th when he released his slop content video. And they had already shared with him many of the claims he recorded from them during his real-life interview. It's a redo with names attached, not an investigation. Some, given how it's been presented, as flying out to dig up the truth so they can't trick him with a script, would even call it fake.
And finally, Soggy himself admitted that he had a personal issue with Dogpack based on how Dogpack reacted to one of his past videos.
In messages with me, Soggy admitted that Dogpack's response to his slop content vid was a major motivation in how he put together this Truth About Dogpack video, confirming to me that, yeah, the reason he went so hard on Dogpack was because of how the slop video went down and how he attacked Soggy after he made it.
Moreover, current MrBeast employees like the ones interviewed by Soggy have obviously all the incentive to badmouth Dogpack and protect their main man MrBeast. However, this does arguably highlight the problem with most of the claims about MrBeast being a terrible and immoral person behind the scenes, which is that much of the allegations appear to simply be their word against his. Without a bulletproof evidence like a video of MrBeast raging out to his employees or openly admitting to faking his videos, it becomes practically impossible to know what's the actual truth with just this evidence. Of course, MrBeast would hardly be the first celebrity to act entitled, rude, or purely evil behind the scenes, and there's undoubtedly some very legit criticisms of MrBeast's character, some of which we'll discuss later in this video. But on the other hand, it's also not exactly a shocker that a few of the hundreds of people who have worked for the most popular YouTuber ever would feel like they were mistreated. With a business that big and stressful, it's probably inevitable that some people are going to leave with a negative experience. And yet, given we're talking about the most popular YouTuber in history and one of the most famous people on the planet, if there truly were undeniable smoking guns proving that Jimmy was a genuinely despicable person, you would expect more concrete evidence to have already exploded into a major media scandal. Or perhaps this just speaks to the abilities of the public relations experts that MrBeast was hiring at the height of these scandals. To me, if I had to rate Jimmy, I'd probably put him at a 40% on the nice-ometer. He does seem like deep down he cares about people and probably didn't mean to torture Jake Weddle, but being a bit of a careless to people he doesn't know that well is one thing, but as we'll discuss next, the darkest scandal MrBeast has been embroiled in is the one where he appeared to put his morals to the side to try and protect one of his day one friends. As this next scandal wasn't brought about by Jimmy himself, but by one of his closest friends and longest serving employees that would inevitably shine a light on some very ugly things going on behind the scenes of his company, and in doing so, for a moment, bringing Jimmy arguably closer than ever before to truly destroying the MrBeast brand once and for all. The second scandal is that MrBeast actually knew that he had employees being creeps at his company, and he tried to defend and protect them. The MrBeast brand was bigger than just Jimmy himself, and close to him during the early growth of the brand was his tight inner circle that dated back long before the viral fame. And penetrating the darkest pockets of that circle was Ava Chris Tyson, a childhood friend of Jimmy's from North Carolina who appeared in some of the channel's earliest videos, and eventually coming out as transgender in a controversial period of time that many people saw as putting strain on the MrBeast empire. A Sunny V2 video on the topic covered in great detail how Tyson's gender identity represented an existential crisis for MrBeast and the future of his channel.
Also receive an equal amount of backlash. You ripped apart your family and took a father figure away from your son just so you could paint your nails and act zesty. Pathetic. He will get torn apart at school, won't want to have friends around his house. A life full of difference and being alone. Did once again reiterate his certainty in a new post reading, "It's never too late to start being yourself," which received praise from MrBeast as well as Nolan and Carl. However, these comments also added extra fuel to the fire. In a few years, look back at this thread and remember they were never your friends. Only yes men cowards. Hope you come out of this safe. MrBeast responded to this with a simple opinion irrelevant ratio, to which the original commenter would state, "I have 30 followers, so go ahead and ratio me. I'll still rest easy knowing that I'm not a coward who idly sits by watching my friend ruin his own life."
Ultimately, over the years, Jimmy remained publicly loyal as Tyson navigated these personal changes in full view of the internet. Born a biological male named Chris with a C, Tyson, after spending several years as a prominent on-screen talent in the formative early years of the MrBeast channel, Tyson became a recognizable face in the cast, building up a sizable following amongst MrBeast's young and impressionable fanbase. And as time went on, Tyson would let the world know about her struggles with her sexuality and gender identity behind the scenes, later revealing in 2020 that she had come out as bisexual, later explaining that she feared backlash from the people closest to her. In March 2022, she showcased that she had got her nails done on her Twitter account, representing one of the first times that she had presented publicly with feminine traits. But this was only the beginning, and just over a year later, in April 2023, Tyson would seize the spotlight as she announced online that she'd begun hormone replacement therapy and publicly reintroduced herself as Ava Chris Tyson. In response, Jimmy would openly defend her against waves of online harassment and transphobia. However, almost a year later, Jimmy's support would waver in the face of some truly disturbing allegations against Tyson, separate from the conversation about her transitioning genders. In July 2024, multiple expose videos would surface accusing both MrBeast and Tyson of fostering a disturbing internal culture within the company. But this time, it wasn't about Jimmy being an or workplace bullying. This was even worse. Specifically, these were accusations centered on Tyson's concerning past behavior involving as well as her long documented admiration with an artist called Shadman, who's widely known for creating explicit and even illegal drawings involving and was reportedly even expelled from art school for creating that kind of content. Archived posts would resurface showing that Tyson had publicly referenced consuming and enjoying similar artwork as the kind created by Shadman already back in 2016. This was already a terrible look for MrBeast given the long and close relationship between Jimmy and Tyson, and this time it would be even harder for Jimmy to distance himself, as people like the YouTuber Adrox would also link Tyson to commissioning custom Shadman illustrations that MrBeast was allegedly aware of.
Is another drawing by Shadman. It depicts a young girl wearing a "Please be patient, I have autism" cap, pointing a gun at her mouth. She has a fidget spinner as an earring and a spade tattoo on her thigh that says BBC, which we all know what it means. On November 18th, 2017, Ava responded to a tweet from Grande and MrBeast stating, "This is coming from a guy who owns a Shad-based drawing and has it as a centerpiece in his living room." Just some time later, they also posted the exact same drawing laid on the floor with the caption, "Bonus fidget spinners to throw some extra autism." In this MrBeast video, you'll notice a very familiar thing at the 9 minutes and 30-second timestamp. From what I believe, keeping illegal art in the bedroom isn't normal at all. The shocking thing is that Mr. Beast and Chris were roommates during that time.
By 2019, Tyson was publicly promoting Shadman's website and allegedly making personal requests for new artwork. The former Mr. Beast editor mentioned previously, Matt Turner, added a crucial inside perspective, claiming that during his time as an employee, this inappropriate culture extended directly into the workplace. Specifically, he alleged that both Mr. Beast, Tyson, and others made crude jokes about a manager's 5-year-old son.
Everyone was consistently making these jokes wildly inappropriate about his like 5-year-old kid.
Ew.
And so,
Whoa.
I know.
Like what?
And so, like, gonna go home and insert name. Like,
what?
The craziest thing.
Who was saying that?
I know. Well, Ava, Jimmy. It was like the thing. It was like funny edgelord.
When that manager reportedly reacted with anger, Turner claimed that he was fired.
We were filming the video playing Fortnite in the middle of the ocean, and one too many jokes got said, and bro flipped. Like, understandably, he couldn't take it anymore, and he took a cameraman and he threw him into the water, and it was a whole big problem. And so then the next day, he was fired.
More disturbingly, Turner alleged that the manager was replaced by someone nicknamed Delaware, an allegedly convicted S offender who had apparently assaulted an 11-year-old in 2010. In Dogpack 404's second expose video, Jake Weddle would claim that pretty much everyone inside the company was aware of the charges, and that the nickname Delaware was in fact based on the fact that this was the state where he had caught those charges.
He's like, why do you call him Delaware? I didn't know. Apparently they called him Delaware because he's not allowed to go back to Delaware. That's his nickname? Colloquially? Like, yeah, it's Delaware. Don't ask him why, The f***. And Jimmy knew about it? The likelihood that he didn't know is astronomically low.
However, as Soggy Cereal would point out in his debunking video, there's also a much more innocent explanation as to where the nickname came from.
Anonymous MrBeast employee Dustin Harris, who has been working at MrBeast for about 6 years. Well, he explained that Delaware was once a store manager at Jimmy's local Best Buy. Jimmy realized he needed employees to improve his content, so as a dumb impulsive 19-year-old randomly thrown into fame, he went to his local Best Buy and asked its employees if they wanted to work for him, naively thinking that a multi-billion-dollar company would have at least made sure to not hire criminals and especially to not hire a registered sex offender as store manager. 19-year-old MrBeast didn't do background checks. Was that stupid? Yes. Is Delaware a piece of shit? Yes. Should Jimmy take responsibility for making that mistake? Yes. But it wasn't this f***ed up master plan by Jimmy to intentionally hire an RSO. It was a dumb mistake by an inexperienced adolescent starting up a business.
During the height of the controversies in 2024, Delaware's brother-in-law and former employee at MrBeast, Jake the Viking, had alleged that Delaware had sat down with MrBeast and his mother, who was reportedly overseeing the HR at the company, and explained his past to them, which was allegedly accepted and acknowledged by Jimmy and his mother, an allegation that Jimmy would later flat out deny.
Obviously, when I was a teenager, I didn't know what a background check was. And I just hired a couple people there that wanted to help me make videos. One of them was the person named Delaware. And no, I did not know he was a registered sex offender. There's a rumor that's gone around that said that he sat me and my mom down and told us. Obviously, I don't remember that happening. And when I read that tweet, the first thing I did was I called my mom and I was like, hey, this is like 7 or 8 years ago. Just put this in context. 7 or 8 years ago, not indicative of my company today, but I was like, did this happen? Because someone's claiming this happened. My mom said, I would have literally quit or honestly probably shut the business down before I ever let my teenage son hire a registered sex offender knowingly.
As scrutiny intensified, public attention shifted towards a longtime fan of MrBeast known as Lava, who was a supporter from when the channel had only 50,000 subscribers. Over time, Lava developed direct communications with both MrBeast and Ava Chris Tyson, and according to reports, Lava was just 13 years old when Tyson first contacted him, and subsequently Lava was allowed to create the official MrBeast Discord server. While Lava claimed that Tyson was unaware of his age until 2018, messages revealed ongoing communication across Discord, Snapchat, and Twitter between 2018 and 2019 when Lava was just 14 to 15 years old. In these messages, Lava would call Tyson Big Boy, Dad, and at one point asked Tyson to be his Valentine. Eventually, in May 2020, Tyson helped Lava secure a job as a production assistant on the MrBeast Gaming side channel. While Lava met with Tyson at the MrBeast compound on various occasions, he maintained that his parents had accompanied him during these visits. When screenshots of their messages surfaced, Lava initially denied any wrongdoing on Tyson's part, but nevertheless, the revelations triggered widespread backlash online. In a series of posts, Tyson apologized for her past behavior, but denied all grooming allegations, categorizing her actions as just bad, edgy jokes. Simultaneously, MrBeast released a statement confirming Tyson's removal from the company and announced an independent third-party investigation into the issue. Soon after, Discord users released additional screenshots contradicting earlier denials.
And I'm going to provide a lot of the screenshots backing up the claims that I made that Lava refuted. For example, I made a claim that there was an NSFW channel in the server where Chris would spam corn. Here you can see Chris talking about locking down the NSFW channel to True Gods and Anointed only. By the way, this is in 2019. I was a True God and I was a minor. Not only that, but you can see me right below it, Nathan.rtx, saying this is a bad idea. So even I knew as a kid that this was a really bad idea. Here is Lava himself talking about starting the commencement of cleaning the server, word for word. I said he was talking about scrubbing the server. He says that never happened. Here you can see him talking about it, as well as me and Cookie himself talking about it.
Following that, more than 500,000 Discord messages were leaked publicly, and as a result, Lava partially walked back his previous statements, but continued to deny that he was a grooming victim. When asked directly how much Jimmy knew, a former employee alleged that Jimmy was aware of some highly inappropriate material circulating internally, but not aware of the grooming allegations.
Maybe he laughed about it, but didn't know how serious it was. Like, what's your take on Jimmy's?
Well, I to be fair, and even in my original video, I've said, like, I've tried to be as fair as possible. I don't think Jimmy had any idea about the meeting up with people. I just don't know. I feel like that was like Ava's dirty secret at the time, but they definitely knew about the Lolly. That was like so funny to them. They're like, yeah, look at the Lolly Discord. Did you check the Lolly Discord?
Oh,
it's like,
Before the end of 2024, MrBeast announced the verdict of the third-party investigation, which conveniently concluded that the grooming allegations were unsubstantiated after reviewing millions of documents and interviewing numerous employees. However, the investigation did confirm isolated incidences of workplace harassment and misconduct. As a result, the company implemented new internal safety policies and reporting systems. Arguably, this is proof that MrBeast took these allegations seriously, but on the other hand, the approach seemed very inauthentic and reeked of a corporate crisis management strategy that conveniently addressed the allegations but gave the impression that Jimmy himself had been cleared of any wrongdoing. In the end, Ava Chris Tyson's inappropriate behavior overshadowed her gender transition, and for a lot of people that might have disliked her as a result of transphobia, now had more legitimate reasons to turn against the formerly liked co-host. Having brought such a stain onto the MrBeast brand, it was only natural that at this point she stepped away, announcing her departure with an emotional apology on Twitter where she said sorry for her past behavior and comments and vowed to step away from the MrBeast brand to focus on her mental health. As mentioned, this is likely the worst and most serious scandal that MrBeast has ever been involved in. Some of the claims about the culture inside the company, especially during the early years, are so serious that they could have damaged or destroyed the MrBeast brand permanently. The seriousness of these allegations drew even more public attention when it became public that MrBeast had actually hired crisis management specialist Matthew Hiltzik, a public relations figure known for his work with the film producer and convicted S-offender Harvey Weinstein. Moreover, if any of the things said about Tyson are actually true, then there's really no defending her. But when it comes to MrBeast himself, much of what surrounds him seems to once again fall in the grey area, one person's word against someone else's, and with that, little can really be proven conclusively. For this scandal, MrBeast seemed to successfully distance himself from the fallout, and probably only hesitated in the early days to avoid coming across as transphobic during Tyson's transition. But Jimmy did seem to take things seriously when it mattered. He probably did the best he could to clean this up. I'd probably give this scandal a 20% on the scandalometer, because it really looked bad, but it wasn't all Jimmy's fault, and he probably handled it the best way he possibly could. But the next scandal is much more about the content rather than the company. As MrBeast built his reputation on being a nice guy and doing enormous giveaways, he eventually decided to formalize his generosity, starting charitable organizations and even an entire channel dedicated to doing good called Beast Philanthropy. But unfortunately, even his generosity has been called into question, as many of his giveaways or charity videos have been called out for being fake or not delivering on the promises he was making in the thumbnail and title. The third scandal MrBeast has been accused of is faking his giveaways. But let's not forget the years-long journey MrBeast has been on to even be in a position to give away so much money. MrBeast has been on his YouTube journey for a very long time. His oldest video that's still up was posted over 13 years ago. He really got it out the mud and built his channel up from nothing, and for years he would steadily build his platform by regularly posting videos, first starting with gamer content like Minecraft videos, but he was willing to try anything to get views. Eventually he would start to experiment with all kinds of ideas, from discussing how much money popular YouTubers like PewDiePie and other content creators were making, to creating video series like making fun of the worst intros on YouTube, most of these videos since being deleted, likely due to the fact that the targets of his humorous disses were innocent young kids. But lucky for me and you, some of these embarrassing moments are still archived in some dark corners of the internet. Jimmy also did crazy challenges like literally counting to 100,000 and 200,000, which he knew would get clicks based on the sheer ridiculousness of the idea alone. All of this arguably showed that early on, the views were seemingly much more important to young MrBeast than the actual quality of the content that he was putting out. However, when Jimmy truly begun his ascendance into becoming the most subscribed YouTuber in the world was when he realized just how many numbers he could do on content where he gave away large sums of money to anyone from streamers to his own subscribers and even random people on the streets.
Oh, MrBeast, donate 1,000 pounds!
It's about $10,000. I'm not joking.
MrBeast has donated $1,000, dude.
5,000. This man is a god.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
I just keep it.
Wait, are you guys serious?
There you go.
This would also include giving money to homeless people and filming it, a trend that was really blowing up at the time on social media, with the likes of Instagram Bacteria and Acne Scar Surgery Before model Supreme Patty also gathering millions of views with this type of content on other platforms like Instagram. Many people saw this giveaway phenomenon as content creators using homeless people for views, and this content genre would receive public criticism, which even MrBeast would address in one of his first such videos, ironically saying the quiet part out loud by literally admitting that this was indeed exactly what he was doing.
Yeah, you're doing it with the camera.
I'm a YouTuber. I'm going around giving random people who need $1,000. So most people get mad and say this is a bad way to get views. Tell them like you're okay with this. Are you okay with it?
Hell yeah.
That's right, YouTube.
Best day of my life right here.
Homeless people don't care if I use them for views.
So what begun as low-effort video ideas like giving money to homeless people on camera have since ballooned into an entire MrBeast universe filled with extremely ambitious ideas like helping 1,000 blind people see for the first time or building 100 wells in Africa to solve the continent's crushing water scarcity crisis. These being just a few examples of the ginormous giveaway videos that MrBeast has released in recent years, particularly through his Beast Philanthropy channel, which is a separate non-profit charity which promises that 100% of the profits from the ad revenue, merch sales, and sponsorships will go towards making the world a better place. Now, on the Who Are We section of the charity's website, there used to be some text explaining how the idea for the charity started from Jimmy's first YouTube sponsorship worth $10,000, which he allegedly accepted with the condition that he could give it all away. This idea then sparking many other such videos over the following months as it became Jimmy's mission through video integration to help as many people as possible overcome barriers. What at least at first glance seems like a heartwarming story has since been removed from the charity's website for one reason or another, but in his interviews, MrBeast has seemingly also given another angle to his charity work and other giveaways. As The Verge magazine puts it, Jimmy also realized something else. The bigger his giveaways became and the more extravagant his method of delivering donations seemed, the faster his channel grew. The result is a sizable paycheck. Now, this is exactly what I'm talking about. It just so happens that the best way to grow the profile and bank account balance of Jimmy's MrBeast brand is giving stuff away. This is philanthropy just for the algorithm, not for the people being helped. And the fact that MrBeast often has complained on Twitter about his most charitable videos not performing as well as other stunts in recent years really goes to show you that he's more pissed off about the charity method not working for him anymore as it is about being proud of the charity that he did in the first place. Unsurprisingly, as MrBeast's charitable stunts have grown in size, they've also attracted a lot of opinions both for and against on social media. For the fans, MrBeast is something like a modern-day messiah, blessing real people with financial miracles, attempting to cure the blind, feeding thousands of people. I mean, he really does move like a modern-day Jesus. Hell, maybe if Jesus returned today, he might have a YouTube channel too. But Jimmy, the wannabe Jesus, and his stunts have garnered a whole lot of criticism as well, with the harshest ones claiming that he's literally faking the claims in his videos to make them more clickable. One example being the video about building 100 wells in Africa, with Redditors and YouTubers claiming that clever editing was used to embellish and inflate the number of actual built wells that were showcased in the video.
Watch the video and zoom in right here. This is well 28 and well 29. There is no picture for well number 29, and again, well 28 and well 67 are the same, but the angle is just different. It is somewhat suspicious, however, let's give him the benefit of the doubt. There are no pictures for well number 68, so why are these pictures skipped? Editing mistakes, or purposely removed because those missing wells were never installed?
On the one hand, there's something very disturbing about using clever editing to round the number of wells you built up to 100 because it makes for a better title, but that doesn't undo the good that MrBeast did by building a whole bunch of wells, which he actually did, and they're not claiming that the entire thing was fake. But on the other hand, as damning as this may appear at first glance, as a YouTuber myself, I do feel like I got to cut MrBeast just a little slack, because I know firsthand just how easy a little misplaced image or clip can slip through the cracks as a result of a simple human error, and this is something that MrBeast would indeed claim to have happened during his November 2024 interview with Oompaville.
Yeah. Did you build 100 wells in Africa?
Yes. So you already know what I'm gonna say. I mean, I would loop this in with the same thing as the hospital thing. Seems like I need to have someone who like QCs things before we upload it more hardcore. I need someone who literally goes frame by frame. Like we finish a video and then they spend like 3 days just going frame by frame, making sure there's no mess ups. Yeah, I think like 1 or 2 of the wells we accidentally showed this like same well as different numbers. But once again, like I said with the blind thing, like why would I spend 98% of the money and then just fake 2 wells and destroy the entire integrity to save like 2%?
Moreover, much of the criticism seems to ignore the realities of creating YouTube content at the scale MrBeast is operating at, where every video has to be relentlessly optimized just to hold the attention of an audience with an ever-shrinking attention span. Like one commenter who found it suspicious how a video about building 100 wells would only last 10 minutes. But realistically, if the video building 100 wells was 3 hours long, perhaps it wouldn't get the views it deserves, making it harder for Jimmy to re-up on his next batch of sub-90 clickbait wells. But then again, perhaps for Jimmy, it was all just about looking like you built 100 wells as quickly as possible, rather than actually building 100 quality wells that did the job right. MrBeast would address these claims again in 2025, as rumors began spreading on social media that all of the wells had failed due to lack of maintenance, with MrBeast clapping back, ironically claiming that his detractors were desperate for ad revenue, and going on to add a page on his charity's website with videos showing people visiting each of the 100 wells, showing that they not only existed, but that they were still fully operational. But unfortunately, if you visit that site today, you might be greeted by an error message. However, rather than being evidence of any actual wrongdoing, this is far more likely just a simple case of neglect. Perhaps MrBeast has the same contract as building the wells as he has building the websites. In fact, another infamous example of this very thing happening is the January 2023 video about helping 1,000 blind people see for the first time, which not only received a huge number of views, today sitting at over 212 million views, but also a whole lot of criticism, with some viewers even describing the video as demonic, with the popular YouTube cartoonist Meat Canyon even releasing a video making fun of the questionable ethics and morals of this type of video, with even this parody having over 9 million views and almost 500,000 likes. But beyond the usual debates about the attention-based economy surrounding MrBeast's philanthropy, this time there were also allegations of something far more concrete, as about a year later, a non-profit from Mexico called Mission Flight, which had participated in the project by performing more than 60 eye surgeries, came forward claiming that MrBeast had left over $100,000 in unpaid expenses for the work that they had done.
You might have been one of the 170 million viewers of the MrBeast video where he takes credit for and claims to have paid for 1,000 eye surgeries.
In this video, we're curing 1,000 people's blindness. She's just one of 1,000 blind people we help from around the world.
You pay for my surgery?
Yeah.
Our surgeons, our people, are performing that work. It only costs us about $2,000 per surgery after consideration of the donated supplies that we received from other organizations. We did 62 surgeries that weekend. That's $124,000. We have yet to receive a penny from MrBeast or anyone mentioned in that video. Like, what is going on here?
Months later, near the end of 2024, the nonprofit released an update video stating that someone from MrBeast's team had reached out to them to offer a sincere apology for what had happened, adding that the issue appeared to have stemmed from a miscommunication with a third-party organization responsible for handling the payments, and that the outstanding expenses had since been wired to them.
Hey guys, Mike from Mission Flight. Big update regarding our video about MrBeast and the eye surgeries. And thank you to you, the online community that helped get the word out. In fact, yesterday, someone from Jimmy's team contacted us and was sincerely surprised that, that we had not been compensated. He was pretty shocked and asked what they can do to make things right. I just referenced back to our video where we had done 62 surgeries that weekend. They cost us about $2,000 each, and so they wired $124,000 this morning. So thank you again very much. Thank you to Jimmy and the team for fixing the problem so quickly. And yeah, there was a third party involved with big miscommunications and misunderstandings. And I believe that those things are going to get worked out as well in the future, or maybe certain third parties are not going to be used in the future.
One of the producers working for MrBeast would also end up commenting on the incident in the YouTuber Soggy Cereal's response to Dogpack 404, basically repeating the story of a misunderstanding with a third party, while also alleging that the MrBeast team had actually paid for closer to 2,000 surgeries, but simply mentioned 1,000 in the title due to the even number sounding better.
There was this video that started getting some traction. One of the clinics where some of the eye surgeries were happening and helping 1,000 people see for the first time. and they claimed that the MrBeast company hadn't paid for any of the surgeries yet. Can you talk a bit about that?
Essentially, when we did that video, we worked with a third party, and that third party worked with a bunch of different organizations all around the world because we were trying to spread it as far as we could, multiple countries. So we had one center third party that we were working with, and they kind of worked with all these. One of those organizations somewhere around the world didn't receive the compensation, which we only worked with the third party. We paid them for 1,800 surgeries.
Oh, 1,800, so not 1,000.
Yeah. We kept going after 1,000. We just worked with them. And we actually, we did more than 1,000, but the title of 1,000 sounds a lot better. So we just says 1,000, and it looks good.
Yeah.
So we worked with that third party, and that third party, I don't know what communication error happened between them and the other organization, but some way or another, that organization ended up not being funded properly. And then when it came across our desk that the missing loop happened, we just went around the third party we originally worked with to compensate them. And they've put out a video since talking about it.
MrBeast himself would also address the incident during his interview with Oompaville, admitting that the fact that the issue went unresolved for so long, even after the non-profit had made the video exposing him, was crazy, but adding that as soon as he did find out about it, he fixed it.
Honestly, crazy. I don't know how no one sent that to me. We obviously had no knowledge of it. And then I saw it a couple weeks ago, and I was like, whoa. I instantly called the team we were working with, and I was like, what's going on here? And then we looked through it all, blah, blah. And then I was just like, I just paid them. So I actually double paid for those surgeries and just paid them separately.
He would also strike back against all of the people accusing him of purposefully not paying, questioning how that would logically make sense, given particularly that they had allegedly paid for over 800 extra surgeries that they had never even publicized.
Here's a couple ways you could look at this rationally. If we did 970 surgeries, why would I intentionally not pay the last 30 to save 3%? Just nuke the entire rep of the video just to save 3% of money. A, that just doesn't even seem logical. B, what makes it even less logical is we did 800 more eye surgeries off camera. And obviously, now I'm over explaining things, but I have to, because there are literal videos using this as proof that I'm evil, and using this as proof that I don't care, and using this as proof that I fake things, the horns, So like, but when you think about it, we did 800 off camera. So if I was aware that of the paperwork trail, the mishap, and that we didn't pay those 30, why would I not just take 30 of the 800 we did off camera and swap it out for those?
MrBeast has largely based his success on the idea that you have to give away money to make money, and it's maybe this format where MrBeast deserves, if not criticism, at least the most scrutiny when it comes to his philanthropy. Some have described MrBeast's clout and money-hungry approach to charity as good for ratings, which to me really sums up the inauthenticity of his giving. Now, I'll be real, look, I've done small amounts of charity giving in both videos as well as offline in private. Now, I personally give money when it feels appropriate to me, and in my personal life and on a day-to-day basis, I'd say I'm somewhat generous. And I personally do believe if the giving wasn't so profitable for MrBeast, he'd probably still be making videos in his bedroom just saying Feastables over and over again for 10 hours straight. Now, there's been extensive analysis of the authenticity of MrBeast's giving beyond YouTube hit pieces in academic research too, with one researcher pointing out how MrBeast has already fundamentally changed the field of entertainment related to charity by removing the typical dividing line between entertainment that's typically there to draw in an audience and the serious philanthropic part where the audience is reminded of the very serious reason why the entertainment is being provided in the first place. Because in MrBeast's version of content, the charity itself is the entertainment. Moreover, unlike in previous entertainment-based charity initiatives where the audience is typically encouraged to donate to the cause after they've been drawn in with the entertainment, in MrBeast's version, the audience is usually not expected to participate in the charity in any way other than watching the content, because YouTube and MrBeast's own sponsors act as the middleman who foot the bill. Whether you think these changes are positive or negative, it's easy to see why MrBeast's brand of charity, or at least the perceived flaws in society that puts it on full display, attracts so much criticism online, especially from those who are already politically opposed to the kind of ultra-capitalism that he seems to represent. But at the same time, arguably the outcome is still something positive that wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for this slightly sinister view-powered charity machine that Jimmy ended up creating. When it comes to MrBeast's philanthropy, we're largely in uncharted territory in terms of the long-term effects that it might have on how societal problems are addressed in the future. On a long enough timeline, we might actually get to find out whether MrBeast's charity content benefits the world or him more. But it's always going to be unsettling when the charity is coming from someone who seems particularly obsessed with two things: views and money, which as mentioned was one of the main focuses of MrBeast's channel even long before he actually ended up giving money away in order to grow the channel. Actually, there's also a third thing that MrBeast is desperate for, which the YouTuber FlazeFire would hilariously point out in his pointed video titled MrBeast, Emperor of Emptiness, this being Jimmy's dependence on praise, as Jimmy is notoriously sensitive to criticism and often lashes out on social media when he feels like he hasn't received all the love and respect that he feels entitled to.
Do you think MrBeast ruined YouTube?
Yes.
So, I ruined YouTube because I didn't buy a mansion and sports cars and instead reinvested my $sign into making content focused on doing good and inspiring kids to help people. This clip is insanely disrespectful in my opinion. How is raising $12 million for charity a disaster, lol? According to this list, a guy with 1 million followers is more influential than me? What did I do to piss off the Rolling Stones?
This unfortunately also applies to his philanthropic efforts.
It is kind of funny that people who have never volunteered in their life or given a penny to charity will see this and make a 30-minute essay about how I'm evil. No matter how much people complain, I'll never stop helping people. It's fun.
There's no denying that MrBeast's philanthropy has resulted in a massive amount of very real, very tangible good in the world. So I guess in the end, whether his philanthropy is overall good or bad depends heavily on your worldview. I'd probably give this scandal about a 15% rating on the scandalometer, because MrBeast has had pretty solid answers for all of this criticism. And even if he is a complete psycho, only helping people for his own pursuit of views and money, at least he's still doing some good in the world. But unfortunately, behind the good is a certain degree of greed. And greed mixed with charity that still results in net good is one thing, but when Jimmy's greed meets something as volatile and dangerous as the financial markets, things start to get a lot harder to forgive, which brings us to a much less flattering chapter of the story, MrBeast's involvement in crypto. Scandal number 4 is, did MrBeast scam his fans? In 2024, allegations began appearing online of MrBeast apparently being involved in some shady crypto dealings. This would prompt YouTube's #1 scammer exposer CoffeeZilla to do a video where he looked into these claims, titled simply Investigating MrBeast. According to one of the more serious allegations, MrBeast would participate in the pre-sale of a token known as Super, which he would then seemingly rather sneakily promote to his fans on social media before dumping large amounts of the token when it went public, allegedly making altogether roughly $11 million.
Super. This is the project MrBeast is alleged to have made the most amount of money on, over $10 million based on a pre-sale of $100,000. As for evidence, we have leaked screenshots showing MrBeast telling Super's founder that he can do $100K. Then we have a wallet that both investigations traced to MrBeast, sending $100K to the pre-sale wallet. And then we have the same wallets getting millions of these Super tokens in a period of unlocks, which were almost all sold aggressively.
CoffeeZilla attempted to get MrBeast to comment on these dealings for his video, but he would only receive a generic response from his representative, who claimed that MrBeast himself was not in charge of his crypto dealings and they were simply handled by a fund. However, as CoffeeZilla would point out in the Impulsive podcast with Logan Paul and Mike Malak, MrBeast seemed to paint a somewhat different picture, as he would discuss his purchase of several CryptoPunk NFTs after a group call with the final boss of cringe internet moneymakers Gary Vee and numerous other highly rich and influential people, making it seem like he was much more involved in these crypto dealings than the response from his representative implied.
Gary Vee, it's like 11 p.m. just out of nowhere, just calls me and he's like, yo, I got like 30 people to call, hop in. I'm like, I don't care. He's like, it'll be the best decision of your life, just get in. I was like, okay. Yeah. And so I just joined the call and I just see like Logan and I don't even know these other people. I don't want to put them on blast. And we're all just like, are you sure, Gary? And we're asking questions and he's like, just buy it. I was just so pulled by his like conviction that I bought a bunch.
Wait.
Yeah, I bought quite a few.
How many?
I don't want to say, but I bought multiple ones.
CoffeeZilla was eventually able to provide some more questions to MrBeast through Oompaville, as he did his tell-all interview with MrBeast soon after, during which Oompaville would directly ask about the Super token dealings, receiving an answer from Jimmy that seemed slimy at best, as he appears to hide behind a strawman argument that he wasn't explicitly telling his fans to buy the token.
On May 12, 2021, you, MrBeast, tweeted in response to it was an Elio Trades tweet. There's a gym sitting there on the market at an eye-watering price set to explode during DeFi Summer 2.0. And then you responded by saying super ? With a crazy emoji. So why did you not disclose that you had a vested interest in the coin that you were tweeting about, super ?
People, that are just getting second hands of the story think I literally tweet out, go buy Super. The fund did hold some Super, And I just saw that was the owner of Super, the guy who made the coin. And I just went scrolling through Twitter, just replied Super to his tweet. I did not tell people to buy Super.
He doesn't disclose, one, that he set up a pre-sale and he's like in before anyone else, right? Millions of dollars, he's in. Two, that his fund had been selling and continued to sell after that tweet.
A similar pattern appears to repeat across numerous crypto projects. MrBeast, or whoever was managing his fund, would invest early, and his name would then be used in various ways to allegedly hype up these projects, and once the price peaked, the tokens would be dumped, creating millions in profits. But when any criticism would be levied against these practices, MrBeast and his team would hide behind the claim that all of the trading was handled by the fund and not MrBeast himself.
This fund trades on MrBeast's name, as we've seen. They get in pre-sales based on his name. He tweets from his public account, and they're putting his name publicly on projects' websites instead of a fund. But when things go south, suddenly, oh, MrBeast, what? No liability, just because he's not sitting there physically pressing the buttons. I don't think that's the way it works.
Ironically, during the Impulsive podcast, Mike Malak would seemingly this time be the one to say the quiet part out loud, as he would question whether the real reason that projects like CryptoPunks were so successful was precisely because of all the influential people that had invested in them early before then promoting them to their millions of followers and pumping up the prices.
Can I ask you guys a question? When Gary does that call with all these billionaires and 8 months or a year later, everybody's like, Gary was right again. Yeah. Is it possible that he's right because of the call? Do you know what I'm saying?
I think about that a lot.
Dude, he has all these billionaire market makers in the thing. He makes the call, makes the market. By the way, you look around at all the punk owners a year later and you're like, damn, it's all the same because they were on the call.
Funny enough, MrBeast would attempt to partly disprove this theory by saying how he hadn't even mentioned owning CryptoPunks publicly.
I can tell you I don't think why, because that was all back like early February. Like
Right.
things didn't pop off till later, and every like NFT project was popping off, not just Punks.
I mean, make no mistake. Like having such influential people involved in projects, it can't hurt the ability for the project to
but like
work. You know what I'm saying?
95% of those people didn't even mention it. You know what I mean? Like I've never talked about it publicly.
However, in the end, this in fact turned out to be an outright lie, as MrBeast had indeed publicly mentioned about owning at least one. Later, at the beginning of 2025, right when Donald Trump had launched his hugely controversial Trump coin, MrBeast would confidently state on Twitter how he could also make hundreds of millions of dollars with his own meme coin, but added that this simply felt too icky, so he would pass. This could certainly be true, but perhaps there's also a chance that if MrBeast hadn't been called out by the likes of CoffeeZilla when it came to his past crypto investments, that we all might now be feverishly looking at the daily chart of the Beast coin on CoinMarketCap. Thankfully, that didn't happen, and overall crypto remains a minuscule part of MrBeast's wealth accumulation strategy. Honestly, to me, I feel like MrBeast dabbling in crypto is actually one of the more damning scandals, and I'd rate it an 80% on the scamometer. MrBeast strikes me as somebody that likes to put on a facade that he doesn't care about money or hold very little money of his own, but this couldn't be further from the truth. Everything he does is optimized for maximum profit from his crypto investing to his charitable causes, but unlike charitable videos that do good and come with a side effect of profits, dealing in the crypto markets is a zero-sum game. For someone to come up on a coin and pull the rug, someone else has to lose. I think his crypto plays behind the scenes reek of the very same greed as his charitable causes, but only in this game, Jimmy's followers actually have to get hurt and lose out for Jimmy to win. It seems like he's learned his lesson on that front, but again, in that kind of disingenuous way where he's not sorry he rugged people, he's really just sorry he got caught and realizes it's more profitable to probably keep your reputation clean. But MrBeast's hunger for more money extends far beyond what's on your screens or in your crypto wallets, because over the past few years, Jimmy's ambition and greed now has him with eyes on the contents of your fridge, your lunchbox, and your stomach as well. And this new conquest on his fans' digestive systems has made a very sizable addition to his business empire. And perhaps even more unsettling, the biggest target of MrBeast's ongoing war on nutrition are his young and impressionable child fans. The fifth scandal is that MrBeast's food products are actually bad for you. Jimmy isn't content with cramming content, sponsors, and demands for charitable donations and questionable cryptos down his young, impressionable fans' throats for money, but in an effort to build the biggest multi-billion-dollar brand possible, he's launched a number of food products which all have some questionable marketing. In September 2024, MrBeast partnered with Logan Paul and KSI to launch Lunchly, a very similarly named product to a direct competitor named Lunchables. And from the start, Lunchly was marketed as a healthier lunch option for kids.
Lunchly versus Lunchables.
With Lunchly, you get double the amount of liquid.
Prime has no sugar added, more electrolytes, and more B vitamins.
Our pizza uses real cheese. Theirs, as it says on their box, is mozzarella pasteurized prepared cheese product. They can't even call it real cheese. We're also 30 less calories, 3 less grams of fat, and 8 less grams of sugar.
To support that claim, Lunchly ads would push side-by-side comparisons with Lunchables, highlighting lower calories, more electrolytes, electrolytes and reduce sugar. However, on Twitter, aka X, posts from Logan Paul featuring that same chart would get hit with a community note for misleading and incorrect claims. Soon after, larger creators would join the criticism, including PewDiePie, who questioned whether the product was actually good for kids.
You can tell none of them are parents, because you should not feed your kids that garbage. Like, what the
Meanwhile, medical professionals argued that the comparisons were incomplete because they left out major health factors like sodium and saturated fat. More specifically, medical professionals pointed out that sodium was still present in Lunchly, but was comically labeled as electrolytes instead. At the same time, Consumer Reports confirmed that Lunchly had less total sugar, but noted that artificial sweeteners and sugar substitutes were being used instead, which came with their own risks.
Prime uses sucralose and acesulfame potassium, or ACK. Artificial sweeteners come with their own risks. A 2022 study by Charlotte Debras and colleagues found that sucralose and ACK are associated with a 9% increase of cardiovascular issues and an 18% increased risk of stroke.
Ultimately, experts found small differences between Lunchly and Lunchables, but more broadly, both products contained ultra-processed foods that really shouldn't be eaten daily.
And speaking of which, what's the final ruling here on the healthiness of our favorite lunch treat? Are Lunchables, Lunchly, and other meal kits a disgusting product that should be removed from store shelves and never eaten again by mortals? Some of them. Would I recommend people, or especially children, eat Lunchables or Lunchly every day? God, no. But that's okay.
Now, this needs to be made clear. Claiming that Lunchly is doing good by being marginally better than a competitor food in the same category of barely nutritional survival slop really isn't good for the world. MrBeast could have pushed healthy, natural, and nutritionally complete food on his young, impressionable audience and done good, but instead, he decided to launch a product in a highly profitable, low nutrition niche that would be the most likely to make him the most money, and he just tweaked his competitor's recipe just enough to be able to make claims that his product is superior. For someone so obsessed with charity and improving the world, it just makes you wonder, like, why didn't MrBeast embark on a mission to put more fruits and vegetables in school meals? Like, I remember when British chef Jamie Oliver did a TV show called School Dinners, and he televised his mission of improving the quality of food in schools. But it's clear that Lunchly isn't about helping kids, it's about making as much money as possible for the MrBeast brand. Now, Lunchly faced more criticism after YouTuber Dan TDM accused the brand of selling unhealthy food to kids who were trusting the creators promoting it. Now, in response, Logan Paul would defend Lunchly, pointing out that Dan never criticized Lunchly's competitor Lunchables, which are allegedly known to contain the chemical lead, something which is highly dangerous and can cause developmental issues with children.
Lead, the super dangerous neurotoxin, the same lead that is especially dangerous for children. In fact, lead in children is linked to damage to the brain and nervous system, slowed growth and development, as well as learning and behavior problems.
It would be really bad if there was lead in your product too, Jimmy. And lo and behold, by mid-2025, Consumer Reports would also find traces of lead in Lunchly, including one test near 78% of the daily limit, just 1% above Lunchables. See, it's not about getting the lead out of the kids' food. It's about making sure that those kids are buying Jimmy's lead, all right? He really should have called it Ledley. But according to the popular medical YouTuber Dr. Mike, neither Lunchly nor Lunchables actually qualify as healthy, but he also argued that the outrage towards MrBeast, KSI, and Logan Paul was kind of selective.
It's clear Lunchly, just like Lunchables, misses the mark too many times to be considered meaningfully healthy. I just think if a company was truly interested in creating a healthier lunch kit for kids, the USDA standards should be the minimum starting requirements.
But then came the controversy that truly attached growth to Lunchly's brand. As in a viral video, a known MrBeast critic, the YouTuber Rosanna Pansino, claimed that she had found mold in a Lunchly product that she had purchased.
She was doing a demonstration of Lunchly, and everybody knows she's MrBeast's #1 hater. The story is, she bought some Lunchlys, just like we did, for a video demonstration, and when it opened it, the cheese was covered in mold.
These are molded. This is molded. That's mold.
What are the chances that she sets up this whole shoot and gets a box with mold in it on the first one she opens? Like, what is the fucking chances of that happening?
Now, granted, I now believe her. She came with the receipts. She didn't fake it. I believe her.
Same here, brother.
And afterwards, Logan Paul and KSI's initial response was just to laugh it off as haters chasing clicks.
I mean, yeah, she can do her thing, man. Let her do her thing.
Like I like my cheese moldy, bro.
But soon after, Lunchly said that its products had passed multiple inspections before leaving their facilities, suggesting that the issue likely must have happened after it was shipped. Later, MrBeast said he couldn't control what happens once the product leaves the factory.
Once it leaves your factory, you know, a truck that's delivering it could technically take a sharp turn and a box fall and puncture the seal, or honestly, even something as dumb as like when it's put on the shelves at the store. Like, I can't stop someone from walking to Walmart and grabbing a Lunchly, going to the potato chip aisle, putting it there, and then like a day later, an employee going, that doesn't belong there, and put it back. And like, I mean, obviously they shouldn't do that. They should throw it away.
And Jimmy would also point out that their main competitor also had cases of mold in their products.
Here's a context a lot of people leave out. Look at, I don't want to name specific brands but take a specific brand that comes into your mind when you think of something like Lunchly, something that's very similar, specific brand, I don't know, other brands, competitors, and Google their name and put the word mold behind it. You'll see thousands upon thousands of examples.
See, just shut up and buy Jimmy's mold, all right? It's 1% more moldy than Moldables. In fact, to be fair, there are numerous complaints about Lunchables having mold easily found online too. And quality experts point out how mold can come from storage, handling at the facility, during shipping, or even in the store. But again, Jimmy and Logan's response says a lot. There's no mold, it's not our fault, the mold happened after the factory, it's out of our hands, and our competitors have moldy food out there anyway as well. Buy my mold, all right? It's all moldy food anyway, we just want to be the market leader in moldy lunches. Like, how about committing to making sure that the food isn't turning up on the shelves moldy, and maybe offering a higher quality or actually genuinely more healthy product than your competitors, rather than just racing to the bottom. But Lunchly's direct competitor Lunchables had faced its own accusations of misleading marketing, including a lawsuit showing that this type of strategy existed long before MrBeast. But anyway, more criticism followed when Lunchly's terms of service began circulating on social media. According to these hidden terms, customers buying Lunchly had agreed to waive their right to sue, instead agreeing to resolve any disputes with the company through neutral third-party arbitration. Interestingly, the tweeter noted that Lunchables don't require you to waive your rights when you consume their mold, food. However, to be fair, arbitration clauses are more common than uncommon in the consumer landscape, and as of 2020, more than 2/3 of the top-selling brands in the US actually had them. Now, Disney has been called out and dragged recently for their despicable use of an arbitration clause to prevent their customers being treated fairly when things go wrong, specifically citing a famous case where someone actually died after informing a Disney-owned restaurant about an allergy, which was ignored. But according to Disney, because the dead man had accepted the Disney Plus terms of service, then they couldn't sue for a wrongful death and they would have to go to the arbitrator. This is the type of pure evil that you expect from a heartless corporation, but not from your favorite YouTuber selling an underdog product to these impressionable kids. But make no mistake, if you died eating a Lunchly, MrBeast lawyers will be pulling that arbitration clause out faster than you can say lead poisoning. And again, this goes back to one of the most sinister things about MrBeast's empire. It's this massive, profit-focused corporation masquerading as an underdog creator brand. And Lunchly is really only the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the questionable food plays being made by MrBeast Corp. Alongside Lunchly, MrBeast's chocolate brand Feastables also faced criticism over its ethical marketing claims, as early messaging implied that Feastables was ethically sourced and even slavery-free, which became a key selling point for many buyers. But later critics pointed out how the slavery-free wording was silently removed from the branding without expectation.
Did you know that when MrBeast first launched Feastables, he had a bunch of stuff on the website about their chocolates being child-free and slave-free. They even doubled down and added an entire dedicated page that said, "We're slave-free." However, in late 2023, all mentions of their chocolate being child-free and slave-free disappeared.
Now, the motive proposed was that MrBeast had always known that he was going to use child labor and simply attempted to use the slavery-free slogan as an early marketing scheme.
I think MrBeast knew all along that this was going to happen, so he prepared for it in advance. When he first launched Feastables, he played up just enough. He played up the card of being slave labor free, child labor free, just enough so that people would notice, but not enough that it became integral to his brand. And then slowly, quietly, he activated the plan to move away from those things, to take advantage of the weakest and the most vulnerable among us, hoping no one would notice. But I noticed, and I hope that the whole world notices now.
However, in a later interview, MrBeast gave a simpler and accidentally more sinister explanation, saying that as his company grew and began sourcing cocoa from West Africa, it just became a lot harder to guarantee fully ethical chocolate.
Yeah, so majority of the world's cocoa comes from West Africa. Feastables early on, we sourced from Peru, which Peru doesn't have ethical problems, but after we started getting bigger, all roads lead to you have to source from West Africa because that's just where most of the world's cocoa is grown. And that's where things are the worst and the most unethical.
Again, just take a second to see how the mask slips, right? This guy's meant to be such a nice guy doing so much charities, curing the blind, feeding the hungry. He's basically Jesus with a camera, but his company got so big he just couldn't not use slavery in the supply chain. You know how it goes when you're growing, scaling up. Maybe a little slavery to keep the economies of scale up is acceptable, but we're going to do some good. We're going to take some of that slave money and we're going to buy some eyes for people. Jimmy would also say that Feastables is at least fair trade certified, meaning that the brand actively helps reduce child labor by paying cocoa farmers more.
There are over 1.5 million kids in child labor, so you can eat cheap chocolate. You see, Big Chocolate pays their farmers so little that they make less than $1 a day on average. And as a result, 45% of children in cocoa communities work in illegal child labor. And I want to tell you 3 things that Feastables is doing to get these kids out of child labor. First, we pay 100% of our cacao farmers a living income reference price, which is a benchmark set by Fair Trade to ensure farmers earn enough where they can afford housing, food, and other basic necessities. Second, 100% of our cacao is Fair Trade certified, which is the gold standard for ethical certification. They have rigorous standards that protects the livelihoods of small farmers and farm workers. And third, the farms Feastables work with are actively implementing child labor monitoring and remediation systems so the kids can get off the farms and into schools.
Meanwhile, content creators like Dogpack404 also attempted to attack Feastables by claiming that MrBeast was lying about its healthiness in comparison to the competition like Hershey's chocolate. But according to Soggy Cereal, the one who was in fact lying, or at least misunderstanding the facts, was allegedly Dogpack himself.
He's comparing a single serving size 43 grams Hershey's bar to a 2 serving size 60 grams Feastables bar. If you recalculate the ingredients of both to 43 grams, then you'll see that Feastables still has less sugar than Hershey's and actually has less calories than the previous formula.
More broadly, public health experts warn that influencer-led food marketing can blur the lines between advertising and real nutrition advice, especially for kids. But beyond maybe a little bit of child slavery, mold, and shady marketing tactics, these are not even all of the food-related controversies that MrBeast has faced, with another one involving the use of so-called ghost kitchens to sell the infamous MrBeast burgers, which led to some pretty horrendous results. So much so that MrBeast actually ended up suing the company who was actually in charge of this steamed ham operation, arguing that they were causing real harm to his brand. But again, it begs the question, where is the accountability in all this? It's all well and good saying, okay, let's use ghost kitchens and just sell whatever burgers we can put our logo onto, because these impressionable kids will just buy anything I put my face on because I'm your favorite creator. MrBeast isn't getting into the burger business for the passion or because he feels like he has some vision of how he's going to delight his fans with a game-changing burger brand. It's all just about the numbers. Just like the charity, only cared and only sued when they started damaging his brand. At a certain point, the MrBeast product portfolio starts looking like the Krusty the Clown gift shop. But then again, this is what celebrities have been doing since the start of time. But it seems like once again, we are kind of looking at a bit of a mixed bag where real legit criticism has become muddled together with some highly speculative allegations. Overall though, perhaps one of the more interesting criticisms relating to all of the MrBeast food ventures is the misleading marketing towards children, as he claims he creates stuff to help kids eat healthier, but somehow all of his products seem to fall under the categories of snacks, sweets, and fast food. If the mission is truly to use his enormous popularity amongst young people to promote healthier diets, then where are the Beast salads, similar to the ones that his personal chef is preparing for him? You see, MrBeast is feeding your kids food he would never eat himself. And for that reason, this is an 80% on the scandalometer, alright? Because really, Jimmy is selling all these products for the wrong reasons. And now, for the final scandal of the video, we're going to look at the biggest money play of MrBeast's whole career, Beast Games. The biggest scandal that MrBeast doesn't want you to know about by far is that Beast Games was a disaster and a cover-up. Now imagine you've come from humble beginnings, conquering the YouTube space, becoming the biggest and most beloved creator on the platform, YouTube being the most poppin' form of new media in this generation. MrBeast really has the kids of America and beyond by the Feastables. But Jimmy was far from done on his journey to shove his face in front of all 8 billion people on the planet, and the next step was to break out of the YouTube space and into the traditional TV format. In early 2024, MrBeast took his biggest step in expanding his media empire as he announced a huge deal with Amazon to produce a competition reality TV show, which was released in December of that year with the title Beast Games. In true MrBeast style, the show went all out, breaking an insane 44 Guinness World Records during filming. Amazing work, as I didn't even know Guinness kept records for the moldiest lunches. But for real though, MrBeast truly pushed the envelope, setting exciting records like biggest Pong Cup and fastest monster truck pulled by team, and the illustrious achievement of most balls used at 5,000 balls. Well done, MrBeast. But in true MrBeast fashion, the most impressive numbers were of course the ones related to the money. They had the largest physical cash prize on set ever of $5 million, which is about $500,000 more than the grand prize for Netflix's real-life version of the Squid Games. They had the most expensive non-cash prize won on a competitive reality TV show, a set of islands in Panama worth $1.8 million. They broke the record for the most money won in a single episode of a competitive reality TV show at just over $2 million. They had the largest prize fund awarded for a competitive reality TV show at $10 million, but most impressively of all was the fact that it was the most expensive competitive reality TV show ever, produced with a $100 million budget, which for context is $10 million more than the budget for the final season of Game of Thrones. The show had 2,000 participants, which is also the most in a single competitive reality TV show, another record, although half of these competitors were eliminated during a video on MrBeast's YouTube channel before the actual Amazon show even started. Now, this was MrBeast playing the numbers game bigger than he'd ever done on YouTube, and the show was also a commercial success, becoming Amazon streaming services' most watched unscripted series ever, with over 50 million people tuning in during the first 25 days of airing. However, when it comes to actual reviews of the show was certainly a contender for world's most expensive stinker, with platforms such as Rotten Tomatoes showing how professional critics absolutely despise the show, while the actual audience seemed to largely enjoy it, with it being described by one viewer as a pathetic, sweaty dystopian train wreck. Sounds like Jimmy. Then there were also, of course, dozens of YouTube video essays made about the show, which largely seemed to share the sentiment of the critics, with each coming out with titles progressively more savage than the last, to bash the show as pretty much the worst thing ever done on TV. But besides some very harsh criticism of the content of Beast Games, the production of the show would also cause more serious controversies than the content that they actually made, with numerous media outlets like Rolling Stone and the New York Times releasing scathing investigative reporting about the shortcoming of the production team even before the show was released, delightfully likening it to the game show equivalent of the Fyre Festival, but even worse because there was no Ja Rule. Others claim that contestants needed to be willing to die for MrBeast, and commenting on how contestants signed contracts acknowledging risks of serious injury on set, and was suggesting that the actual conditions were even worse than the ominous disclaimers were suggesting. Much of the criticism focused on the very first stage of the competition, where 2,000 contestants were confined inside Allegiant Stadium, the home of the Las Vegas Raiders, for several days. In one of the more odd twists, the contestants were asked to turn in their phones, belongings, and even their prescription medications, with the oldest participant being 82 years old. This was really becoming that Squid Game where your grandpa pack might get rolled up. And even though participants were reassured that the medication would be given to them when needed, news sources would receive several reports of people being denied their medications on time, with one diabetic woman being allegedly denied her insulin for days until she would exhibit signs of a diabetic shock. One contestant who had a seizure was allegedly left without any medical attention for nearly an hour, while one older woman had allegedly given the production team 5 days worth of heart medication, but was first denied her medication before 4 days of medication would somehow go missing. Beast Games had seen Jimmy graduate from torturer to full-blown medical experimenter, and according to an industry expert interviewed by the local News 3 Las Vegas, he couldn't think of a single reason why people would be asked to give away their medications, while also pointing out the obvious chaos that would ensue from keeping track of the medication of 2,000 people. While one production medic who participated on set reported that they were tasked with handling medications at a makeshift 24-hour pharmacy station, and claiming that they had never before been asked by a production to confiscate and attempt to monitor medication to this degree. It would claim that the denials of medication may have been due to a lack of communication between the different crews and an overall lack of planning, with dystopian claims of apparent black-shirted security members becoming tyrants and refusing to let contendants visit the 24-hour pharmacy because they just didn't know the rules. I guess they were just following orders from the head beast, with one almost comical quote being how one MrBeast producer had allegedly informed the medics that MrBeast does not believe in schedules, creating chaos intentionally. The YouTuber Oompaville would interview numerous contestants to get their takes about what happened at the Beast Games and what went wrong, with several contestants also mentioning the problems with medication and getting care when needed, although the stories were somewhat less dramatic than the ones told in the press.
I know that it was for some folks, and I know that some of it's been exaggerated, but some of it was true. I mean, there were just gaps of time that you could get your medication, and there were only a small number of people that were actually able to give people like psychotic medication.
There were some people that had medication needs and they weren't able to necessarily get them because there was a holdup.
I had no access to vision for like a good amount of time, and they actually lost my contacts. It wasn't specifically the production staff. It was like medical team that they hired. There was a girl who was having like a psychotic break, and one of the wranglers or staff members actually screamed at her, threatened to eliminate her.
I need my medication. The crew member would say, I would love to give you your medication, but this person above me is telling me that you can't have your medication because we can't find it. It's in a specific room, and we don't know where that room is.
The apparent lack of communication, planning, and scheduling would seem to affect everything during at least those first few days of production in Vegas, with contestants reporting issues like lack of food, and how they would sometimes have to wait even days just to receive basic stuff like clean underwear. Only about a dozen portable restrooms were reportedly provided for the 2,000 contestants living in the stadium, and at least one of those would end up overflowing and soiling the sleeping bag of one of the contestants. Now, I'm surprised MrBeast didn't get wind of this and offer $10,000 to anyone that was down to spend a night in that soiled sleeping bag. But in another almost comical twist, just 2 days before the principal shooting, the producers decided suddenly to invert the filming schedule from day to night, as nobody had seemingly taken into consideration that the lighting couldn't be controlled in the stadium during the daytime. But that's okay. I'm sure Jimmy had a plan.
Block it out.
Good God. One member of the local production staff told how they had experienced the same confusion as the contestants, as the MrBeast team would constantly withhold information from them, while a staff member of the Allegiant Stadium hosting the shoot described the state that the stadium was left in as an absolute disaster, with them claiming the stadium was left strewn with broken items and props, it was covered in sand, and I can assume a few soiled sleeping bags too. Another local staff member would describe it as the most unprepared production they had ever been part of, with no systems in place and nobody to answer any questions. In September 2024, 5 of the contestants would hit MrBeast and Amazon with a 54-page class action lawsuit, accusing them of issues like creating unsafe employment conditions. The complaint alleged widespread mistreatment of contestants, including harassment, lack of medical care, inadequate food, and unpaid expenses and wages. Allegations that MrBeast claimed were shameless, exploitative, and blown out of proportion.
MrBeast, a 26-year-old multi-millionaire and YouTube megastar, now under fire. His production company sued, along with Amazon, by the contestants of his new reality show. The lawsuit detailing what the contestants call unreasonable, unsafe, and unlawful employment conditions. Writing the show only allowed them to be fed sporadically and sparsely, fostered a culture of misogyny and sexism, and had insufficient medical staff to attend to potential and actual injuries during the production.
In response to all the criticism, a spokesperson for MrBeast would provide a generic statement, blaming external events like extreme weather and other unexpected logistical and communication issues, as well as also suggesting that part of the reason the production was so disorganized was due to the so-called CrowdStrike incident, during which the American cybersecurity company CrowdStrike distributed a faulty update to its security software, causing widespread problems with Windows computers running that software. At this point, the show had already continued filming in Toronto with the remaining 1,000 contestants for the actual Beast Game show that was eventually shown on the Amazon streaming service, with some contestants from this leg of the production reporting how their conditions had improved immensely, which is something that contestants would also tell to Oompaville too.
Canada was substantially better.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of that.
So Canada, obviously Beast Games took over that whole production. After that, after they realized Mystic Pictures couldn't handle having 2,000 people on a show. So one of my close friends ended up making it Canada, and he was the one who was telling us like they got way more food, they were able to kind of get whatever they wanted and everything else. So there's a huge divide between us who got eliminated in Vegas because we felt like we went through like the more challenging part of Beast Games versus those who went to Canada had like more privilege and they get to have like their jerseys back and they get to go to premieres and we don't.
However, some crew members and contestants still describe the conditions there as dangerous, with one crew member themselves also again comparing the production to the infamous Fyre Fest fiasco, pointing out how much like with the Fyre Fest, there was a reason that a production of this scale had never been attempted before, as MrBeast himself had proudly announced the scale of the Beast Games production far surpassed his typical YouTube videos, describing it as the biggest everything in history. And MrBeast was clearly trying to break the record for biggest lawsuit too. But unfortunately, as many of the production staff pointed out to the media, it seems that MrBeast's team, who were used to YouTube productions, although admittedly very large ones, were simply not aware of the complexities of large studio productions. And most concerningly, some would argue that MrBeast himself was largely ignorant of the production struggles, with one production manager arguing that Amazon had placed too much trust in the YouTuber without real production experience, and that his flippant attitude to the inexperience posed a real danger to the 2,000 contestants who participated in the show. However, the real truth is probably once again likely somewhere in the middle, with other sources like the contestants interviewed by Oompaville describing a much more nuanced overall experience.
I think that in some cases there's validity, and I didn't see anybody injured, but my understanding is people actually were injured. We signed paperwork that said, really, we are willing to die
to be in this competition.
That's awesome.
So when somebody breaks a shoulder, because they're doing something that's strenuous because they want to go to the next level, well, that's on them.
So from my perspective, things were organized as best as possibly could.
This 2,000 show event could have like a few injuries in there. It doesn't necessarily mean that he's like an evil person. Like, obviously, I think things improved in Toronto, right? And I think it's important to acknowledge that, like, yeah, it did get better, right? But at the same time, like, that doesn't mean you just dismiss the stories of the people that this happened to.
Some people countered those frustrations, but a lot of people who lost early were very frustrated, and a lot of them looked at opportunities to talk to media as a quick payday.
In the end, like a kid nibbling the mold off the edges of his Lunchly stack, it seems quite likely that MrBeast did in fact bite off more than he could chew, particularly when it comes to the first part of the competition, and there seems to be a decent chance that he was honestly lucky that nobody got more seriously hurt. But then again, both the media and some of the contestants undoubtedly have strong incentives to exaggerate many of the issues in the hopes of getting clicks and attention. With the lawsuit still ongoing, we're yet to find out if the allegations, including those of sexual harassment on set, are true, claims which could still be devastating to MrBeast and his brand. But for Amazon, it seems that these scandals and the ongoing lawsuit didn't discourage them from working with the record-breaking Rainmaker, and a second season of Beast Games would premiere on their streaming service at the start of 2026, this time with significantly higher scores from the professional critics, showing that MrBeast and his team had seemingly listened to the criticism from all sides and made some vital improvements, this time notably only using 200 contestants while making the concept arguably much more interesting by dividing the contestants into two teams, one presenting physical power and the other intelligence and mental prowess. So in the end, I'd probably rate the Beast Game scandal a 50% on the scandalometer. There's been some seriously bad allegations, and it sounds like people were needlessly put at risk in season 1. But clearly, if this was such a serious danger to the community, Amazon wouldn't have come back around asking for a second season. Now, I'd put this scandal up to a coin toss, and maybe we'll know the truth one day when that lawsuit gets worked out. But for now, just like the giveaways, it seems like the juice is still worth the squeeze for billion-dollar Jimmy. So if a few people have to go without their medications to keep the games going, then the show goes on. But for MrBeast's final scandal that's yet to happen, he might be planning to take charge of the American way of life as we know it. Ever since MrBeast found his secret weapon to growing his channel was giving away exorbitant amounts of cash and creating spectacles each crazier than the next, it seems his career has gone from strength to strength with very few missteps. And even all of the controversies mentioned in this video have hardly caused even a blip in Jimmy's unstoppable upward trajectory. He's still the Jesus-like messiah, conjuring up billions of dollars, changing lives, giving away millions, and curing the blind on a regular basis. And as all of the praise and kissing has continued, MrBeast has seemingly become increasingly comfortable seeing himself as the new emperor of the social media age. In 2022, when Elon Musk had just purchased Twitter, MrBeast would message Musk on the platform, publicly asking if he could be the CEO. At the time, many were probably taking this as a harmless joke. They weren't laughing in 2024 when he announced on the same platform that if the US lowered the age to be able to run in presidential elections, then he would jump into the race. Now, he was clearly an incredible candidate for Republican president with his solid track record of needlessly denying patients their medications, but he would let the world know what a great and forward-thinking president that he would be, making his first presidential promise that, for problems I'm ignorant in, I'd have the experts from the left and the right advise me on them and try and find the middle ground that's the best for America. I mean, wow, it's a genius idea, Jimmy. Nobody ever thought of that. Maybe you should get a bunch of them and just, make them sit in a room together and decide what to do. You could call it the cabinet, or no, wait, cabinetly. And it's going to be 1% better than what we already have now. But most importantly, Jimmy will be in charge of everything, especially your medications. Now, I guess only MrBeast knows what's best for Americans, but you can certainly believe whatever he decides will of course be very, very good for MrBeast. Now, funnily enough, a few months later, he admitted during his interview with Theo Von that the real purpose of his tweet was simply to get attention. A heart on his sleeve admission that sums up his personality perfectly. Whether charity, the world's biggest Pong Cup, or seizing power of the most important office in the world, Jimmy will always do whatever it takes to be seen by more people. Apparently, Jimmy is really serious about seizing power in America, and he's admitted that he would really consider taking over the country later in life when he was in his 50s or 60s. But still, in 2025, it became harder and harder to understand when he was simply trolling for attention and when he was being serious, or perhaps he was always doing both. Because as the CEO of Twitter, now known as X, would step down, MrBeast would once again tweet how he was ready to fill the role, and perhaps true to his style, also engagement maxing the post by misspelling the word role. At one point, which now feels like a long time ago, it seemed like MrBeast was somebody with a squeaky clean public image. But in the recent years, stunts like these are just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to matters that have made MrBeast seem amongst an increasing number of people an out-of-touch megalomaniac willing to bend any rules of society and reality in pursuit of his views. Even many of MrBeast's peers on YouTube seem to think of him as someone who completely ruined the platform, with one of these being YouTuber Jacksepticeye, who's actually been on YouTube roughly as long as MrBeast himself.
Now Jack, a completely unrelated question. Do you like MrBeast? No. Jack, do you think MrBeast ruined YouTube? Yes. Now, in all honesty, Jack, why? Because it became more about views, money, and popularity than it did about having fun. You just don't think you had fun playing Squid Games? You don't think you had fun riding on yachts? Building wells in Africa? I don't know. If he had fun doing those videos, they'd be longer. We'd see the fun.
And you know things are bad when even one of the most hated people on the internet, 6ix9ine, is linking up with MrBeast's degenerate counterpart Steve Will Do It to make a diss song about him. This was the MrBeast diss song Mr. Week, where Steve Will Do It mocked MrBeast's recent morally dubious opening of a theme park in Saudi Arabia by rapping, "Who the F is MrBeast? You be sucking off the sheiks." In many YouTube circles, MrBeast has become persona non grata, an unwelcome person on the platform that he has seized control of. And at this point, it's become an actual subgenre on YouTube to drop videos exposing MrBeast as evil, a sellout, a scammer, and the list goes on, and I'm glad to have now joined the ranks. However, I'll admit that I too, when I begun this research for this video, I assumed that this would end up being a huge takedown of MrBeast and just exposing him as a weirdo. And to be honest, I still think there's something deeply troubling about Jimmy and the kind of content he makes and his obsession with numbers, views, and money, and the way that that obsession affects not just YouTube as a platform, but also just the online and offline culture in the world as a whole. I don't think MrBeast is evil, but if anything, he is definitely a symptom of a really sick, do anything for views culture that's been cultivated by algorithms that choose what people actually get to watch. The only things that get pushed nowadays are the most extreme things you've ever seen. The biggest prize, the darkest crime, the killer with the most bodies. And until that changes, there's always going to be clout-hungry fame demons willing to do anything the algorithm asks to be seen and get rich. And it just so happens that MrBeast is the daddy of them all. Now, if you like this video, make sure you go and subscribe to my new documentary channel linked in the description. Influencers Exposed. Nobody is about to be safe. I'll see you there.